while back I was in a school and I heard something. A teacher with a guitar sitting around with students singing. And it struck me. I don't hear a lot of singing in schools anymore. And I began to think back to my days as a student and even my early years as an educator. And I thought, we used to just sit around sometimes and just sing for no other reason than singing is a nice thing to do. And I'm not one into nostalgia so much, and I think we have some bad memory issues when it comes to nostalgia. But thinking back, I'm wondering if in the age that we live in an age of accountability and data-driven and metric-obsessed kind of world we live in, that if we maybe forgot about the value and the importance of joy. Alfie Kahn says that he asked the question, why are our schools not places of joy? And it seems to him and to me that unless we justify our learning and tie it to joy, that joy becomes a sort of nice but not necessary idea. And he would argue, as would I, that it needs not be justified, that it's a means to, it's an end unto itself. It's not necessarily a means to something else, that joy and joy just by itself is a worthy goal to pursue. So again, we should talk about what we mean by joy, and here's some definitions that I pulled off, and you can find all kinds of ones, but I happen to like these two that just sort of get at the idea that this is a feeling of well-being and success. And secondly, it's the expression of that well-being. That joy is this really visible and infectious kind of thing. And it begins hard. It's hard to quantify. What is it like? What is it? We maybe have different interpretations. But it's one of those things, I think, that when you see it, you know it.
There we go to the wing. Wow. In the inside, it's so pretty.
Yeah, we created a lift! Oh, we created a lift! Oh, yeah! We did it! Oh, yeah! That was so good!
Legit.
Nice job. Nice job, Peeps. All right, let's check it.
One call.
Put my hands up to play my song, the butterflies fly away.
Goldberg is going to start with this domino being knocked down.
Now, if you watch that and don't smile, I don't think I want to be your friend. I decided that. And you can attach other kinds of labels to that. Some people might call it empowerment. Some people might call it engagement. Maybe even a little bit of silly, and those are all things. But I'm choosing to bundle all of that in this idea of joy. And I like what Mark Twain says about joy. He says that that to get the full value of joy, you have to have someone to divide it with. I think joy is this wonderful ingredient for community. And again, in a time where we're often focused on the individual and personalized learning and student achievement, and you hear things in school like mind your own business and focus on, I think joy is this wonderful thing that brings about community, and it's something that, again, we got to think about things that we may be losing in our day. A couple weeks ago, I had the privilege of working with a teacher in Surrey, Diana Williams. And Diana is a wonderful grade 3 teacher who got an idea from another teacher in North Carolina named Bill Ferretter, who had been using Kiva, which is a micro-lending site where you raise a little bit of money and lend it to people in third world countries wanting to start a business. And so Diana got this idea from Bill and had her students do a little fundraising, and then they lent out money to various countries in the third world. And it was just this wonderful experience. And I think about when we talk about what does this new kind of learning look like and the potential of technology, and I point to a project list like this and say, if you just want to understand what the power and potential that's it. It encompasses so many things: social justice, collaboration, creativity, all kinds of things that we talk about a lot these days. But she wanted to make a thank you video to Bill for giving her this idea, and so she asked me to come in and help her put together a little video. And so she rewrote the words to the song Inner Ninja and called it Kiva Ninja, and the kids just talked about their journey and all their learning. And it was just wonderful to sit with these kids and just watch them smile and talk about all the success that they experienced and all the things that they learned. It was a fabulous experience. And I think anytime we can make joy in curriculum one is awesome. But I also think there's times when we do it just because it's a human thing to do and just because it's a great thing to model. Jared Heidegger is a high school teacher in Lethbridge, Alberta, who has an unusual way of giving his students their weekly biology vocabulary words.
In most classrooms, they're the most dreaded words a student can hear.
I think I'll give the words to you right now for your quiz.
But inside Jared Heidegger's biology class, they're met differently because of their unusual presentation. This is Jared's weekend homework chopper.
So instead of me writing the terms on a whiteboard for their quiz, it's a lot more fun, I think, to fly around a helicopter and have someone that they don't know read words to them.
Those videos feature friends in vacation destinations and famous athletes.
Hey Bio 30, this is Chris Versteeg coming to you from Sunrise, Florida.
I just like to have, I don't know, I like, it's fun for me too. I have a good time, I enjoy it. I like thinking of different fun ways that I can have it teaching, and then it just kind of, I think the kids appreciate it too when you take some time to do something a little bit different.
So it does take them a lot of time to do that, and you wonder, well, what's the payoff for that?
I like it a lot. It's fun. He makes it more fun rather than just taking down notes. It's goofy, but it's fun for us to learn.
When you're having fun, you put more work into it. So I think it helps not only him have fun in his class, but it also helps the students learn and enjoy the class as well.
So fun but goofy, I like that. But then you ask, well, does it actually do anything for student learning?
The person in the video, they're like last week, the guy actually wrote the word in the sand.
Number 7, lamellae. Now, is this right? Just check it here. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lamellae? Lamellae.
And that was a really cool idea to, when I think of lamella, I think of him writing it in the sand.
So I essentially developed a new teaching strategy. I didn't even know that I had done that. That was awesome on my part. 2 years ago, my wife re-entered the classroom after 10 years as a teacher librarian. And so as she was getting ready for her school, she was planning about all the things that her students were going to learn, reading, writing, and all those things. But she also made an intentional decision that I want my kids to smile every day. That was a big deal to her. That's really what she wanted to see. And so she thought about how she might do that. And what she came up with is a way in which she begins her day just to kind of engage students, get them going, and then she shares it out on her blog.
This morning, Alyssa is going to attempt junk in the trunk. Can you spin around there, Alyssa? She has a Kleenex box full of ping pong balls, and she's going to try to move around so as to get the ping pong balls to empty out of the box. Ready, Nikita?
Yeah.
Okay. You have 1 minute to complete this task. 3, 2, 1,
go!
Start.
That's gonna be easy.
Whoa, she's a good jumper.
Ping pong!
Oh, I think she did it. Are they all gone, Alyssa?
Maybe one.
Now, I don't know what curricular area that actually covers. I'm not sure, but that was never the point. That was never the intention. That was what that was for, and it accomplished exactly what she wanted. So I've showed you a few examples of what joy can look like in the classroom, but I also think there's something that we can do on our own to help foster and create these communities where joy is actually valued and important. So let me just share with you 5 things that I've tried to incorporate into my own life as a classroom, as an educator, and there's a million other ones that you can do, but let me just share 5 with you that I think have been kind of important for me. We live in an extremely busy world, and we can go through our day just focused on what we're doing and forget to notice things around you. For the last 5 years, I've been taking a photo a day. And what this has done more than anything else is taught me to be mindful. Now, I'm fortunate. I get to travel a lot. So sometimes when you're in a place like Beijing and you're standing in front of the Great Wall of China, it's easy to see the beauty and wonder. But I live in Saskatchewan. And it's not always easy when you're busy doing it to see things and notice things that are different, unusual, that strike your eye. So some days the best you can do is the fact that you wore 2 different kinds of socks. And that's the thing of the day. But I think, again, it teaches you to think differently and see the world differently. And I think we can do that even with our students when we see them wearing something different or coming with something unusual to school, that we can be the ones that point that out and say, wow, isn't that interesting? I never noticed that before. I think mindful is this really great conduit to joy. There's a lot of talk about creativity these days, and I think being a creative person is naturally a joyful experience. But again, how do we do this regularly? This is just something for other people to do. I love the site, the Daily Create, which gives you small, little things that you can do, that your students can do on a daily basis to be creative and be able to express these feelings of well-being. And we have these devices in our pockets that have these weird little applications that I like to play with. And I love what Clay Shareski says, that even the stupidest creative act is still a creative act. And it's that initiation of being creative and trying that out that's the real barrier for a lot of people. This isn't anything particularly earth-shattering, but again, this idea of regular random acts of kindness, we forget sometimes how powerful this can be. I was in my wife's classroom and I noticed on her cupboard door was a note from a parent thanking her for putting their son's tooth in a little baggie and giving to the kid to take it home. Now, if you teach primary, that's not a new thing. You do that all the time. But what was unusual is that the parent took the time to write a note and send that. And it meant so much to her that that still sits on her cupboard wall from back in September. And we have, again, there's lots of ways in which we can drop these little acts of kindness in 140 characters or less, just reaching out to someone and thanking them. And if you've ever been on the recipient end of that, you know what that means. You know how powerful that is. So we need to think about ways that we can continue to do that as well. I mentioned Diana. This relates to this idea of changing pseudo-learning to real learning. And again, so many things at our disposal to make learning real and authentic. We used to learn about countries. We would learn about places and do reports about them. And now we can learn with people and bring them into our classroom and change the nature of learning from something pseudo to something real and authentic. Now, lastly, I'm actually really good at this. This is like one of my strengths, being silly and laughing every day. And I have to tell you that I take equal pleasure, perhaps more sometimes, in making someone laugh or smile than I do by giving them a great resource or a great teaching idea or anything. That to me is important. And I don't know if you've ever said this or heard someone say with regards to doing something a little bit silly or fun, you have too much time on your hands. I get that a lot, actually. and it saddens me when someone says it because it's an insight into what they value. And that's not valuable work. That's not valuable to go out of your way to make someone laugh or smile. There are more important things to do. And again, I don't necessarily agree. And again, this is something we need for our children. Adults need to have fun so children will want to grow up. You know, and think about this. I mean, children come to our schools every day who are laughter and joy deprived. We talk a lot about how we can help kids that are hungry, and we need to address that. Kids that have learning issues, we need to address that. But maybe we should think about that as well. I think we live in a world where we're information rich, but a little scarce on joy. And so, I don't want to distinguish joy from learning and saying they're two mutually. They're not. They absolutely, and I showed you though, and you know those can work together tightly. But what I worry about is that if we always have to have them linked, that we won't have time for singing. We won't have time just to be human and just to experience joy, that we're always fighting to make everything linked. And it's great when it works and it should happen more than it does. But maybe sometimes it just should happen because that's a worthy thing. And in a world of data and a world of prove it to me, maybe we need to start counting smiles. How many times kids smile every day? So as we think about, let's continue to talk, and I know throughout the day we're going to be talking about really important issues, and we need to continue to talk about those issues. But along with creativity, along with critical thinking, collaboration, and all the buzzwords of the day, let's include joy as part of that conversation as an essential ingredient for learning and for living. Thank you.